And away we go.
All right, so what is in the news today?
Good question. Where do we begin?
All right, well, let's just start from square one. Then let's keep going up from there, pretty much.
Alright. Okay, so firstly, federal judge temporarily blocks Trump administration from banning Harvard international students.
I see. So they temporarily blocked Trump from, banning international students. I see.
Yes.
Okay, well, I mean, for the international students, that's a good thing. I'll be honest. I say if you're an international student, I don't think you should be banned, especially if you're pursuing a higher education and just making your family proud. I'm not against that, nor am I for it. Actually, not. I'm not even for banning international students. Actually, I'm not for that because it's like at the end of the day, I think people should have the opportunity to pursue higher education, and that's what these international students are doing. Uh, they're just studying. They're not harming anybody, so I don't really see a reason why we should ban them anyways. If I'm being really honest, but yeah. Is there anything else that article says?
Yes. A federal judge extended an order on Thursday blocking the Trump administration from barring Harvard University internationally enrolled students. This came after the administration announced on Wednesday its intention to withdraw Harvard's authorization to admit international students, citing allegations of foreign coordination and inadequate responses to anti-Semitism.
Interesting. Okay. So it has everything to do with just anti-Semitism then. I see. All right. Well, either way, it's definitely good that Harvard students aren't getting banned. Like international students aren't getting banned because it's like I just don't think that is the correct way to do that. But yeah, it's like I'm just generally glad. I'm just genuinely glad that they're not getting banned. I don't hate Trump nor like Trump, so you know I would say there should be a compromise. There should be a compromise. I don't think people should be here illegally, but ultimately speaking, it's like you just shouldn't ban a couple of people from pursuing a higher education. I mean, shoot, just let them pursue the higher education and then go back to their country, and then go back to their country. I'd say that's a good way of handling things. Just let them stay there for the years that they have to stay. Maybe if throughout those years get legal citizenship, that's fine. But if they don't get legal citizenship throughout however many years they're there, then yes, just send them back to their country. I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's just the circle of life.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
And it was what it was.
Exactly. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Also, speaking of Trump not getting his way, Supreme Court to halt tariff block as soon as Friday.
Wow. We've been hearing about these tariffs for a while now. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the second
And
thing Trump is not getting, huh?
yep, the Supreme Court just said, no, we'll not allow you going ahead with the tariffs because whatever reason. But well, there's a lot more that's to be said here anyway, so we'll get to it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Trump is just man, things are not going Trump's way, huh? Ah,
No,
well, I'm not mad nor upset about it. I just don't care. I kind of just don't care if I'm being honest. But hey, I'm pretty. Trump will find a way. Trump will definitely find a way.
yeah, somehow he will.
Yeah, he always does. He's rich and he has connections. He will find a way to get his way.
Yes, that's
Trump will find a way, especially because he has money too. So yeah, I have
he
no
does,
doubt
yeah,
that. Huh?
he does have money.
Yeah. So people will do anything for some money. So let's just see what happens. Let's just see what happens. And you know, most likely this halt is going to go away quickly. But if it doesn't, then yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
And it was what it was.
Yeah, so I mean, just Trump in general. His presidency has been nothing but work, no entertainment, just work. The only time people really do care about the presidents is when the election, and when the election comes up, and then after that, people stop caring. Yeah. I mean, unless you're just a devout follower of that political figure, then sure, I can see why you'd care. But that
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. But anyways, so what else in the news?
Very, very tragic.
Man, what is it?
Let me just find it. It's gotta be there somewhere. Swiss glacier collapses, destroying 90% of Alpine village.
Wow, that is tragic. Let's hear more about it.
A massive glacier collapse destroyed about 90% of the village of Balaton in the Loschental Valley on Wednesday around 3 p.m. local time. Authorities evacuated approximately 300 residents and their livestock last week after geologists warned of imminent collapse of a 1.5 million cubic meter glacier above the village. The glacier collapse sent 3 million cubic meters of mud, ice, and rock down the mountain, blocking 2 kilometers of the valley floor and damaging most buildings as shown in drone footage. Blatton's president, Matthias Bellwald, said the unmanageable has happened, while Swiss Defense Minister Martin Pfister called it a disaster of striking proportions. Officials reported no injuries. One person is missing but not among evacuees, and government ministers pledged long-term support to rebuild the village despite the rare and severe event.
Do you have any initial thoughts on that?
Those poor people, they didn't see it coming. No one ever thought it was going to happen. But yet, it happened. And for those who were aware of it happened, how? Why? The odds of this particular incident even happening, it's not plausible, but certainly not likely. I feel, I don't want to be too skeptical about it because there are other issues going on in the world. I feel like there's more to what happened in that valley that may cause a particular shift, not just locally within southern Switzerland, but also maybe, I don't know, maybe a particular individual or group of people that could, and I say could, we're not too sure, were at the village. But I think that's the conspiracy theorists might go crazy over it. They find out about this. I'm just saying it's very unlikely events lead to very unlikely outcomes, and thus sparks very unlikely questions.
Yeah, it definitely does spark a lot of questions. If people knew about it, why would you not warn other people about it? And if people did know about it, then bless their hearts. But yeah, it's I just hope everyone is. I hope everyone is well at the end of the day, and I hope that village bounces back to its former glory.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Support, like just federal or cantonal level, is amazing. I'm not. I don't want to glaze too much on Switzerland, but from experience and from what I've seen and know about Switzerland, I can't stress enough how good their management is and efficiency, like administering stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's good. Then that's good. Yeah, that's good. But yeah, it's let me just check and see if I can find anything in the news. Yeah, right. I sent you a video on how influencers would react to a nuclear attack.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's so funny.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's funny, but it's also sad because that AI is probably extremely accurate on how people would react to a nuclear attack.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
People just being influencers, still trying to make money off of people during a nuclear war. It's kind of sad, really, but at the same time, it's accurate. It was funny though. It was.
Yeah.
But yeah, but also in other news, a ginger-haired girl. She was shot. She crawled away. The killer walked after her and shot her again. The point is pretty much She kept crawling, and the killer shot her for Palestine. And to that I say, why?
Why?
Yeah, why would you do that for the sake of a place? Just because someone supports another place, just because someone does not support Palestine, why would you do that? Why would you shoot an innocent person just for the sake of Palestine? I'm not gonna say everyone is like that.
And I'm certainly not saying you have to agree with that person's opinion, but still,
Yeah,
what's the need? What do you gain from that?
yeah, exactly. What do you gain from from killing someone just because they don't support the same cause as you do? Just because they, just because they support Israel, just because they support Palestine, there's no reason to kill someone and shoot them dead just for just for supporting a place or supporting a specific country or a specific cause. It's like man, it's like look, I mean, actually, I'm not even gonna say I get it because I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's like people to that I would say people just want to have pride in something. They just want to have an ideology on something. And with people, either free Palestine or free Israel or just really any conspiracy theory that they can find. People just want to have an ideology on something or an opinion on something, whether if that opinion is right or wrong, whether that has something to do with race, country, ethnicity. People want to be proud of something. They want to find an identity in something, and it's just sad. It just really is sad. It is. It just is. But ultimately speaking, may God bless their hearts, and my condolences are to her family and friends, and obviously, I just hope that no one is shot in the name of Palestine or Israel or any place really.
Or whatever side people take these days.
Yeah, honestly, it's just it's tragic. It's dumb. It's no, it's sad, but it yeah, it just is what it is.
And it was what it was.
That's true. Huh? Quietly hold its back. Fool's vent. Sorry, I'm reading something else. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Zimbabwe's farmers push on as land grab compensation flounders.
Okay. Let's see what's floundering.
Zimbabwe's agricultural sector, once flourishing, was disrupted in the thousands when about 4,000 white-owned farms were confiscated amid violence and land redistribution. This land reform, transferring land from the white minority to black beneficiaries, caused food shortages and forced Zimbabwe to seek international aid. Some former farm owners received compensation payments starting in April 2025 through a fund announced in 2020, which allocates $3.5 billion for farm infrastructure but excludes land purchase.
Mm.
Despite these payments, many farmers express frustration due to decades of delays and the bonds being unsecured, though government officials state the bonds have international guarantees. Recent government grants of full land ownership rights to beneficiaries replace former 99-year leases, which farmers say brings security and hope for advancing Zimbabwe's agriculture and economy.
So let me see if I got this straight. Pretty much in the early 2000s, they started taking farm ownership away from white people and giving it to black people, and it's because of that the dang the supply has decreased.
Well, that's part of the story. Although although the distribution part is true, I think after the distribution from white farm ownership to black farm ownership, the thing is, when the black people in Zimbabwe were given land to farm, the black people in Zimbabwe didn't have much farming experience as much as the white people did in Zimbabwe. And because of the most of the lack of farming experience and knowledge is because the the agricultural sector of Zimbabwe is not as good as it once was. So now the government have to trying to fund the already depleted agricultural sector of Zimbabwe to make sure that it returns to its former glory. But really, the root problem is the experience of the farmers that own the land.
Mm,
You can still have Zimbabwe can still have black farm ownership,
okay.
but they have to have the black people that are the farmers in Zimbabwe know at least some basic experience and knowledge in farming to achieve the same results like Zimbabwe did when most of the farms were under white people ownership.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, so pretty much it's just the lack of experience. That's about it. Okay.
Yes. Mostly
I
yes.
okay, gotcha. So I'll be honest, I can see someone trying to twist that in a bad way, saying, "Oh yeah, black people are lazy." I can kind of see someone twisting that in another way, but yeah, if it's due to the lack of experience, then that makes sense because I know that there have been black farmers. Definitely are hardworking black farmers. Shoot,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like my great grandfather. Yeah, my mom said he was. Yeah, my mom said like or great grandfather. Yeah, my mom said like he was a farmer, and he even shot a shot a chicken in front of her, and like after that, then like they ate it. So it's like yeah, well my mom didn't eat it because like she but yeah, it's like a pretty much yeah, it's like my great grandfather had a farm, and I'm pretty sure even my other sister has been on it too. My older sister, older than me and my twin. But yeah, it's like
Okay.
yeah, she used to ride the tractor and everything. But yeah, okay. But anyways, yeah, if it's just the lack of experience, then I can understand. I can understand. Then it's like you gave farmland to people who have no idea how to farm or how to grow crops, on how to grow food, or just how to take care, or just how to do the basics on a farm. So
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, it's like that does make a lot of sense.
Yes. I have no problem about what race the person. I don't have no problem with what the race is of the farmers in the country of that country's agriculture sector, so long as they know exactly what they're doing, they have the knowledge and the experience to handle the task at hand to ensure that there's enough food for everyone.
I think whoever wrote that article knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they're really trying to do those readers dirty, and you know what? I'll give them credit for that. That's well played.
Yeah,
I think whoever's watching this, they'll try and twist it to something awful, and yeah, they're gonna get a lot of engagement from that.
yeah, but yeah, it's like yeah. I'm just gonna say this, bro. The person who wrote that article knew what they were doing when they specifically pointed out the race of these farmers, bro. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, they knew that they were doing.
Yeah, it's like fair play, fair play. Fair.
Yeah.
It gets people reading it. So I suppose like yeah, it's like this. I'm like
How dare you?
yeah, how dare you? Or the opposite, like, oh yeah, white people work harder on farms and black people are just lazy. But it's like, yeah, they knew what they were doing when they wrote that.
Whatever gets people's attention, then it works.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's just fun. It's just funny. I can't even be offended. It's actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See how they react is the funniest that you'll ever see.
yeah. Honestly, man, it's just hilarious to me. But hey, ultimately speaking, I would say just get more experienced farmers. You know,
Or at least the farmers that already have the farmland, at least allow at least have some time in their day to at least understand the farming basics. Like like going back to school, but it's not full time, it's just whenever they're free and just to understand the basics of farming. And once they know enough basics, they continue with the work as a farmer and knowing that experience, they can properly, efficiently provide more food for people in the country.
yeah, I'll say this. This can even be an online course too. If you don't have time to go, if you don't have time to go to like anywhere outside of the farm, this can be an online course too. You
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
whenever you have the time, or I don't know, there are tons of YouTube videos that I'm pretty sure cater to like how to be a like good farmer. So it's like yeah, there's like a lot of things that you can do to like learn. So I'd say like
Yeah.
there is no excuse at this moment. There is no excuse. So yeah, it's like if the people who have the farms want to learn how to farm, then yeah, they can easily learn. Or I don't know, I don't know. Maybe like if you're gonna sell them the land, you should at least ask them if they know anything about farming, and then you say no, and then if they say no, you should offer them like at least a crash course on like basic farming. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I would say since they're paying for the farming land too, the class should come free. But they're allowed to do what they want to do with that. But yeah, it's like I would say like no problem. Just that the people just need to learn how to farm correctly and properly, so that they
Exactly.
yeah, so that like we won't have to rely on outside sources for things.
Exactly.
Yeah, but hey, so I'd say that was that was probably a pretty good article to talk about, and I gotta say like and to that I say, what is the next story?
Brazilian airline Azul files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection.
Interesting. Okay, let's hear more about that.
Azul, Brazil's largest airline, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the United States to restructure over $2 billion in debt arising from the pandemic and supply chain issues. Azul will continue to operate normally during the Chapter 11 process, which protects it from creditors while reorganizing its finances. Stakeholders, including United Airlines and American Airlines, have committed about $1.6 billion in financing to help Azul reduce its debt. Azul aims to decrease its leverage from 5.1 times to 3 times through the restructuring process.
All right. Do you have any like initial thoughts on that?
Well, I've heard so much about Azul, and not just because I've flown with them when I was visiting family in Brazil, but man, it's who knew COVID could have such a big impact? Even to this day, many years after the initial lockdown happened, it comes to show that with enough scare, with health issues, it really can take a toll on people's livelihoods and their way of life to the point that the companies and organizations that are used by such people, they cannot recover financially. Like, there are many things to this day that have not reached back to pre-COVID levels. That's how impactful COVID lockdowns in general have been. And we won't see anything like that again.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope we wouldn't see anything like that again. I mean, it was. I would say like the COVID COVID-19 definitely affected a lot of people in a negative way. Some in a positive way, but others in a negative, but mostly all in a negative way.
Yeah,
And it's very unfortunate, but ultimately speaking, you know, um, it's just unfortunate that it's still kind of affecting people to this day, in a semi-negative way. But I would hope we can look past that and ultimately just see the beauty and in what it. I would hope that we would be able to see the positives in like what that has done to us and how and like what we know now, how we can act accordingly in the future if something like that were to ever happen again. But yeah, it's like for the most part, I would say like there's like nothing, there's nothing wrong right now, but we should stay prepared regardless because
yeah, exactly.
yeah, a pandemic could happen again.
Yes, when we least expect it. And even though people on top have already said, at least vaguely, that the time it will happen, the specifics of it, they can decide whatever they want with it. And when it happens, it would be mostly to their benefit and no one else's, not even the majority of people.
That's true. That's true right there. That's true right there. Also, I was trying to find a story about like a hotel, and about how it had like it was pretty much being investigated for like human trafficking, but I guess the person deleted their story on
Hmm.
Twitter. Hold on, I think it's called dang. Yeah, I forgot what the hotel was called. I think it's something in Express or something like that. something along the lines. I was trying to find that story because I saw it on Twitter. Literally last night. Actually, I was reading it and I was like, dang, it's like a whole hotel that allows all that to happen. But I guess the person deleted it out of fear. It got a lot of traction too. It got like I believe it got like 4 million views on it. So it's like, yeah, but I guess they just deleted it because I guess they were I guess they were scared. But you know, it is what it is though. But in other news, our favorite two men. Can you guess who?
The Tate brothers.
You guessed that.
Yes, I was. That was the next. If you were to ask me what else is in the news, I was also gonna read.
Wow, we were pretty spot on.
Yes, that's impressive and
Yeah,
quite a coincidence.
yeah, a huge coincidence. But yeah, our two favorite top G's, man. Yeah, it's like they got charged again, and I'm pretty sure I don't know if they're in the UK or they're in Miami. I don't pay attention to them as much. I even unfollowed Tate on Twitter, so I really don't know what's going on with him now.
According to the summary in front of me, in 2024, British authorities formally charged Andrew Tate along with his brother Tristan with a total of 21 offences in the UK, including allegations of rape and human trafficking. The charges followed a police review of UK evidence, while the brothers faced separate legal actions and an extradition warrant from Romania. Andrew Tate faces 10 charges involving 3 alleged victims, and Tristan Tate faces 11 charges linked to 1 victim, both denying wrongdoing. The Crown Prosecution Service said UK proceedings await resolution of remaining cases, as the brothers remain under investigation and house arrest there. That these developments increased the brothers' legal risks amid ongoing civil suits and public controversy over their conduct and online influence.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I remember when they first came out, and then they were getting like arrested and charged for this stuff. At first, I was like defending them, but it's like now like fast forwarding to 2025, if they're getting this much, then not all of it, but some of that stuff has to be true to a degree. It has to be. It has to be, bro. Because it's like there's no way that this case could be going on for this long.
But even then, the whole theatrics and the operations of trying to prosecute the Tate brothers is just a way to get people's attention and trying to divide opinions amongst groups of people. And once again, I'm saying it definitely works. It definitely has divided a lot of people.
Yeah, that's true. And I will say this: look, I don't hate the Tates. I disagree with some of what they say, but I don't hate them. I'll say this: I wish them the best of luck. I hope what they're getting charged for is not real or true. But if it is true, then they're gonna get what they deserve. But if it's not true, then they'll get off justly. It ultimately is what it is.
And it was what it was.
Exactly. And also, it's like, yeah, it's like, dang, I don't know. It's like, I'm just gonna say this, man. Look, if you're defending someone you know, that's one thing. But if you're a random person online and you're defending another dude and you don't even know him personally, then man, I gotta say, man, you gotta reevaluate a bunch of things.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's like if you, especially if you don't know the guy, then yeah, then it's like all you can do is look afar to see if he's innocent or guilty. But I don't think I would really defend a person or a celebrity that I don't know.
You can't just jump to conclusions and say, okay, I stick to it. I believe him. He should not be prosecuted. But what if there is evidence that is likely deemable to even prosecute someone to begin with, or even at all?
That's true. That is true. And ultimately speaking, it's like yeah, it's like you just can't always just jump to conclusions. You just have to find out and see. You just have to find out and see what's gonna happen next. Man, this dude got more tattoos. Sorry, I'm just looking at something else. Anyways, yeah, it's like you just gotta look and see what happens next, and see if they're right or wrong. Pretty much, it's you just have to look afar to see if they're innocent or guilty. But ultimately speaking, you cannot defend someone that you don't even know personally, because they could be wrong, and you could ultimately look stupid. You could ultimately be looking stupid at the end of the day. So it's like you got to watch who you defend. You also got to see if what you're defending is correct. And I suppose even if it's not correct, you're a good friend. You would be a good friend to that person if you defended them regardless. But if you're just a random person and you don't even know this person, then yeah, reevaluate your life. That's all I
Yeah,
got to say. That's all I got to say.
couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, pretty much. The Tates, I don't wish anything bad on them. I hope they do great. And I hope what we're hearing is not true. But if it is true, they're simply going to get a just punishment. And yeah, it's like I'd say obviously things come back to you. Things come back to you, and yeah, wow, she's really not my type. But if yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just also looking at a bunch of other things. Yeah, but I lost my train of thought. Right, I was saying this. Things come back to you, and God is just. So pretty much,
Yes,
God will give you what you deserve. So that's all I got to say about that. If they're guilty or innocent. So yeah, it is what it is.
it was what it was.
But is there anything else in the news?
Dua Lipa, Gary Lineker, and Benedict Cumberbatch join more than 300 figures urging Prime Minister to end UK complicity in Gaza.
Okay, so let's hear more about that actually.
Over 300 UK public figures, including Dua Lipa, signed a letter urging Prime Minister Keir Starmer on May 2025 to immediately suspend all arms sales to Israel and broker a ceasefire for Gaza. The letter, led by charity Choose Love, follows warnings from more than 800 UK lawyers who declared that genocide is being committed in Gaza amid Israel's expanded military operations. Signatories highlight an 11-week blockade recently lifted acute malnutrition affecting 71,000 children in Gaza and urgent calls for humanitarian access as food and medicine remain blocked near the border. Last September, the UK government halted approval for 30 out of the approximately 350 arms export licenses des des destined for Israel, citing a significant risk of violating humanitarian law, while still denying some military equipment licenses amid demands for a complete embargo. The
Okay.
letter urges ending the UK's complicity in Gaza's crisis, stressing that without immediate action, children are starving while global attention and political pressure increase on all parties to agree to ceasefire.
Okay, so pretty much you said the UK was ceasing aid from
It was ceasing aid from people in Gaza, mostly children.
oh wow, okay. And they're okay, so they're giving the aid to Israel, but like they're ceasing like aid from children in Gaza.
Yeah, so the UK government is providing arms sales to Israel whilst preventing any aid from entering Gaza.
Okay. I suppose that makes sense. I mean, technically, the UK is pretty much like the American West, so kind of makes sense.
And also the UK was mostly and partially responsible for what Israel is today. There's going to be lots of arguments regarding the legitimacy of the Israeli state. However, it was roughly in the 1940s, the Balfour, I think the Balfour something. But anyway, there was an agreement in the 1940s. Mostly it was mostly the works of the UK providing a state where both people of Israel and people of Palestine can just coexist. But however, over time, people have said that since that agreement that the UK drawn up in the 90s has been established, the Israeli state slowly and surely have been taking lands from Palestine to the point where, although on the map you see there's Palestinian territory within, whether it be the West Bank and Gaza, there are parts within the West Bank that Israel has most of the governance, and people within Palestine in the West Bank can't even travel freely within the West Bank without approval from the Israeli government. That's what that's what people have that's what a handful of people have said regarding the existence of the state of Israel and the state of Palestine.
Well, this just has to stop in general. All of it.
Yeah, it's just very, very complicated. Like, just
I mean, you're only gonna make the free Palestine, people just go harder, especially if you're being one sided about everything. And it's like I would say, like, man, it's like I would still say both sides, both sides have a right to defend themselves, but it's like ultimately speaking, it's like this war just needs to end in general, and
yeah,
both.
enough with the killing, enough with the holding the hostages. There are people caught in crossfires in such conflicts. They just want to continue living life peacefully. Like we all want to continue living life peacefully without arguments or any violence. Nobody ever wants that. Ever. So why are people continuing that?
That I personally don't know, man. I personally don't know, and it's like I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people have it hard in other places. I mean, man, we're just blessed to live in the West, but a lot of people have it hard in a lot of places. So my condolences are to the children of Israel and the children of Palestine, or any adult in Israel or any adult in Palestine. Because ultimately speaking, it's like, man, it's like killings are happening on both sides. And, just you're trying to, it's like, when you're trying to paint one side to be like, the bad guy, it's like, man, it's like, look, of course you're going to hate that. Of course you're going to hate that side. That's the bad guy. It's like, I'd say they're both in the wrong because they're killing people on both sides, and they should both stop.
And the thing is, not once, but twice, the Israeli people had protested against their own government. And this was both within the same time span since October 7th. So you know that it's bad that even a nation's own citizens are saying, we want this to end. We had enough of this. Not everyone in Israel, not all the people of Israel, but there have been protests by Israeli people at least twice, saying we had enough of this,
Right.
and they're also very critical of the Israeli government. So I think that says so much that
I
any words could never say.
Exactly. I wouldn't even be surprised if there were some people in Palestine who are protesting this war needs to end too. I wouldn't be surprised. Not a whole.
Sadly,
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's like if your own people is even protesting, yeah, this war needs to end, and bro, you're clearly in the wrong or doing something bad. But regardless, yeah, they're right. This does need to end because this is unnecessary, and I think the people deserve to live in peace and not in chaos because of the government and what they want to do and what they plan on doing. But yeah, I agree. All of this does need to end, and all of this should end because people are getting killed. And I don't support any side because I would be supporting a killing on one side. If I support Israel, I'm supporting the killing on Palestine. If I support Palestine, I'm supporting the killing of Israel, of Israeli people. So it's like you can't win. You can't win with whichever side you choose to support.
yeah,
Like, bro, there's no winning. I mean, socially, yeah. I suppose if you support Palestine, yeah, sure, socially you'll somewhat win. But at the same time, man, it's like, you can't win. You ultimately can't win with this. At the end of the day, it is what it is.
it was what it was.
Yeah. But yeah, ultimately speaking, What else is in the news?
British Columbia NDP government narrowly passes controversial bills to fast-track projects.
Okay, interesting. Let's hear more about that.
British Columbia's legislature passed Bill 15, an infrastructure act that fast-tracks major projects on May 28, 2025 in Victoria by a 47 to 46 vote. The bill responded to American tariffs and faced opposition for giving the cabinet broad power to designate provincially significant projects without full consultation. All New Democrats supported the bill, while Conservatives, Greens, and Independents opposed it due to concerns about undermining environmental standards and First Nations consultation. Speaker Raj Chauhan cast the deciding vote Wednesday evening to break the tie, enabling the bill to pass its final reading and complete the government's spring agenda. The passage triggered widespread criticism from indigenous groups and municipal leaders, prompting Premier David Eby government to pledge broader consultation when drafting regulations to implement the law.
Very interesting. Yeah. What other words to say? But yeah. Do you have any like initial thoughts?
Well, it's bad that even parties that don't agree with each other's policies or viewpoints, they say, no, that is not a good idea. I refuse it. I rebuke it. All of it. So, yeah, there's no arguing that if multiple parties go against something, someone should not even pass it to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. You know it's bad if like even your own supporters don't even want to go with it either. Damn, that is really terrible. You know it's bad then if like the people who are supposed to be on your side doesn't even support the whole plan. But at the end of the day, man, if it's a bad plan, it's a bad plan. If it's a bad plan, it's a bad plan. So it's like, hey, you can't really do anything about that, about terrible plans. So I mean, all you can really do is like try to make the right decision and see if the people will agree or not. And if they don't agree, then just don't go through with it. It's simple. It's as simple as that. That's about it, really. But yeah, ultimately speaking, it's definitely something. Definitely something.
Absolutely.
But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
An AI deal with New York Times brings the paper's content to Alexa.
Okay, they bring it to Alexa. Okay, let's hear more about that.
The New York Times and Amazon announced a multi-year AI licensing deal on February 26, 2025, to bring Times content to Amazon's AI platforms, including Alexa. The agreement comes amid the Times' ongoing legal conflict with OpenAI and Microsoft over allegations that the companies used the newspaper's articles without permission to develop AI models since 2023. The deal covers editorial content, New York Times Cooking, and The Athletic, allowing real-time display of summaries and excerpts, and training Amazon's proprietary foundation models. The Times described the deal as bringing additional value and wider exposure to its journalism, while terms of the agreement remain undisclosed. This collaboration illustrates varied publisher responses to AI, with some opting for licensing deals like The Times and others pursuing litigation over copyright issues.
How well do you think this is gonna go?
Not so well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This is definitely not gonna go well. It's a disaster waiting to happen. So we just have to wait and see. But they'll probably relatively do well. They won't do terribly. They won't do the best, but they won't do terribly.
It's just lazy. I'm not against people using AI to at least provide efficient workload, but having AI to do everything for you and just, whilst people that are actually human contractors or even employees of said companies sit back doing nothing, that will be a big issue in the next few years if this keeps continuing. Like, if AI takes over many jobs that people didn't even think about, would they ever even be replaced by AI? Because their jobs require so much human interaction or human verification or effort. What's the purpose of us humans even being here or even contributing to anything in life for society?
There is really no purpose to it if, like, we're just gonna let AI do everything for us. I mean, like, come on. I mean, I get it. I get if I get if you want to use it to make life a little bit easier on certain, and like, take the load off of your, like, off your back a bit. But bro, when you're just letting it do everything for you, that's just lazy. What's the point of us then? Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's gonna be a problem in the next couple of years, and people are gonna complain about it. Oh yeah, they're loving it now, but they're gonna complain about it. I mean, you know, AI is gonna like take over like certain aspects of life, entertainment, but just life in general. And then people are just gonna be heavily relying on it. And then once they cut off the internet, potentially, just a just a conspiracy, not confirmed true or not. And once they cut off the internet, people are gonna be freaking out because they have forgotten how to do the most basic life things.
Exactly.
Which, you know, then they'll know that yeah, we can control these people now because they need this in order to survive in everyday life. And the Wonder, wow, the Wonder Twins. That show is way before my time. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, yeah, like as for the AI, yeah, like they're gonna have people be extremely reliant on AI to the point where it's like they can't do anything. Shoot, I'll be honest. People are gonna be so reliant on AI that they won't even be able to type properly. They'll be like, oh, what am I supposed to do this without AI? Or like, like I don't know. Maybe they'll use some voice. Maybe they'll like. I hope they don't do this. But maybe they'll replace the whole keyboard with like a voice thing so that you can talk in it. I wouldn't be shocked if they did that, but that'd be a stupid idea. That'd be a
Yeah.
very stupid idea because it's like if what if the voice thing is not working properly? That would actually be an extremely stupid idea. But I wouldn't put them past it to do that, or to at least test it out, or at least to test it out. But that's just me though. None of this stuff I'm saying is true. It's just my opinion.
And everyone is entitled to their opinions.
Exactly. So we're just gonna see what happens in the next couple of years because it is probably going to be anarchy in the next couple of years. I would hope that I'm as far away from the city as possible in the next couple of years because frankly, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be in the world. I'm gonna be in this world when everything goes down. But I'm just saying I want to be somewhere specific where it's like even if the things did go down, even if these things did go down, I wouldn't have to rely on it to survive. I would know what to do in order to survive. Or if I'm completely out of the loop when it comes to these things, then I'd be fine with that too. Although it would be terrible if I was out when it comes to like everyday life because I don't know. I at least have to know something in order to like act accordingly. But let's see what AI does in the next couple of years to people's brains. Let's see how reliable. Let's see how much people fiend for like open AI in this all this AI nonsense. I was thinking a couple days ago too. They might have actually had AI all along. They probably just now revealed it to us.
Yeah. Gotta wait when the time is right. When people are like, can't be bothered reacting to stuff. And then when it happens, people are like, whatever, I'm just gonna continue with moaning and whinging and stuff.
Yeah, sooner or later, people are going to be too lazy to use a controller to play video games. Oh wait, that's already happening. Yeah. Oh wait, that's literally already happening. But yeah, it's like
Yes, and we didn't even know about it until now.
that's true. And then I will say this, man. I wouldn't be surprised if they developed AI in like 2015, maybe 16. Then they just said, all right, we're gonna use this for us, and then we're gonna reveal it to the world. But none of this stuff is proven, so it could be. What I'm saying could legitimately be false. It's just an opinion. I'm not making a truth claim. Yeah, this isn't a truth claim, but it could be true, it could be false. So like I say, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Because I'm taking what, but yeah, you know,
Yeah,
ultimately,
exactly.
it's going to, it'll benefit us in a way, but it'll also ruin us in a way. So we just have to be prepared and pretty much just prepare for the worst.
Exactly.
That's all we can do. Prepare for the worst. We're gonna see what happens.
Indeed.
Indeed, indeed. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Russia suggests June 2nd peace talks with Ukraine in Istanbul.
Okay. Russia wants to have a peace talk. Let's hear more about
Yes. Russia says it has proposed new peace talks with Ukraine on June the 2nd in Istanbul, following a major prisoner exchange. Lavrov discussed the plan with US Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Rubio, Rubio reiterated support for dialogue and confirmed the United States is reviewing Russia's proposals and earlier commitments made during a May 19th call between Trump and Putin. US officials say the next 2 weeks are critical for testing Moscow's intent, as Russia has yet to deliver its promised peace memorandum.
Well, I do hope those peace talks are are good enough to allow peace to happen. Anything that involves peace is good because without peace, we would be absolute anarchy and chaos in the world. So I am hoping those peace talks do do something when it comes to the state of the country and the world in general. Because yeah, like without peace, like, would have complete anarchy and people disagreeing. Anyways, without peace, nothing can happen. That's pretty much my thing. But yeah, I just hope everything goes well. You have anything?
No, there's nothing else I can say other than hopefully, whatever goes on between those involved, there is a solution and it ends there. And nothing bad and nothing violent will ever happen from such conflict ever again.
Yeah, same here. I agree. I 100% agree with that. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
iOS 20 is to be introduced next month.
Okay, next month. All right, let's hear more about that.
Apple will reportedly skip iOS 19 to jump straight to iOS 26. This move is part of Apple's plan to adopt a year-based naming strategy across all of its operating systems.
Well, look, this iOS 26 better be worth it.
Because that's
It
a
better,
massive jump.
yeah, that's a massive jump. So whatever you have, it better be worth it. It better be worth it. It better be worth something, worth talking about, worth buying.
Yes.
Because man, like, look, if it's just the same old phone with the same old features, with the same old buttons, with the same old apps, with the same old background, bro, you might as well just should have stuck to 19. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, exactly.
So look, whatever. So look, you better think long and hard about this. They better, whatever engineers they have, they better engineer something good. They better put something good in that phone. Shoot, they better make the phone see through for all I care. They better like bring back like with the Blackberries they have the keyboard the keyboard the flip keyboard things.
Yes.
Shoot, they better put that in the phone and somehow modernize it or something like that. They better bring back some old school aspects and modernize this phone. Regardless, they need to do something different with the phone other than just giving us the same old product with the same old features, same old buttons, same old look with more for camera. Shoot, bring back the headphone jack. A lot of people will be excited about that. You know how many views that would get on social media alone?
At
iPhone's bringing
least a
back
million.
at least 1 million. iPhone is bringing back the headphone jack. You know how many memes of people were saying, "I pray for days like this"?
Way too many.
Yeah, a lot. So do something different. Anything.
Yeah,
Literally,
anything.
literally anything different. Other than
Absolutely.
other than what you're doing now. So yeah, Apple, get on it now.
Get on the grind.
But it's almost 2026. But yeah, Apple, get on it. Get on it.
Yes.
I was like,
Do
look,
something.
if you can't even get on it for the Apple 26, for the Apple 26, iPhone 26, you might as well just wait until 2027 to release the iPhone 27. You might as well just wait an extra year. If it's not like if like whatever you have now is not sufficient. But yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Apple, do your job.
And
That's
do
all.
it right.
Yeah, do it right. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Now I just sent something to you in the chat.
Okay, let's see what it is. 100% AI generated. Oh, look at this. Looking at it.
Yeah, I have watched it and oh my gosh. You couldn't even tell a difference.
Oh, man, I'm not gonna lie. I am worried. VO3 is wait. What's VO3?
Google VO3 is the AI model where you write down a prompt like you would with any AI model. It doesn't just give you a visual, but it also plays some kind of video footage of said prompt with sound. That's the first I've seen an AI can do that.
That is very concerning for being in terms of like entertainment business. I would. That's just very concerning. I don't know. It's like keep it at the surface where it's like I don't know. You're just like making stuff for like YouTube videos, but that's about it. I mean, that's definitely it's impressive, but it's also concerning in a way. It's impressive, but yeah, you know,
Very, very scary.
it is. But I don't think that should. I'm gonna assume it's not gonna be that much of a problem.
Yet.
Yeah, yet it's not gonna be much of a problem yet. I know there's gonna be people who I know there's gonna be people who are gonna get their shine still. Maybe it'll be an option, but it won't be a problem. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure where this is gonna go. But the fact that AI can do that, yeah, I can see YouTubers using that in a very unique and creative way. Definitely, I can see that. I can see that scenario happening. But other than that, that's about it. And maybe it'll make its way in Hollywood. Who knows? Maybe they'll make another Snow White. Maybe they'll make another Snow White, and maybe it'll be better with that AI. With that AI, what they did and what they actually did. Ah, and if it is better with that AI, then that's disappointing. That'd be disappointing actually. But hey, it is what it is.
It was what it was.
That's true. But is there anything else in the news?
That is us.
All right, peace.
Peace.